And I tell them, hey, if you want encouragement, go to your parents. Because you're born to them. It's their bloody duty to encourage you, or maybe teachers. I'm here to show you the reality. Because the market doesn't care. You are a first-time entrepreneur, you are a woman entrepreneur, or you struggled so much and then became an entrepreneur. Does the customer care? They don't. All they care is, boss, what are you offering? What value will it add to me, and what do I have to pay for it? Simple. Hi guys, welcome to Backstage with Millionaires. My name is Anil Chhikara and I'm the founder CEO of Bluebolt, a deep tech startup accelerator. I also run Startup India Foundation, which is a not-for-profit foundation formed by people like me who want to kind of give back to the startup ecosystem. Under that we do events. We also run a mentoring program, and you can go and check it out at startupindiafoundation.org. Today I'm going to talk about my journey, my first startup that involved comics, and from that day to now, where I'm working with startups who are building in the area of AI, in the area of cannabis, in the area of cybersecurity, and in the area of EV charging and things like that. One thing I can assure you is that this is going to be interesting, and I look forward to talking to you about it. My dad was in Air Force, which meant that every 3-4 years we would get up, pack everything and move. And we were posted in Bareilly, which is somewhere in UP. There's an Air Force station there. So I was very fond of comics, and this is like late 70s. I think it was class 6th or 7th. And I was very fond of comics. And my dad was a typical, military guy. You bloody fool and a half kind. That was his favorite, this thing. And besides studying everything, you watch a movie, that's a waste of time. Read a book, that's a waste of time. Comics? Are you kidding? So we used to smuggle in comics. We used to put them in between books and pretend we are studying while we are reading comics and stuff. So there was this bookshop, and I used to go and buy comics. And then my dad said, no, I will not give you money for this. And I said, okay. And as they say, necessity is the mother of invention. So I went to this guy and said, hey, you know what, give me a credit of 7 days. And I had been buying, and he knew me. So he said, done. So he gave me a credit. So I would take the comic, read it immediately, and then for the next 7 days, rent it to all my classmates. And I don't even remember what is the rent, like 1 rupee or something like that. And within a week, I will be able to recover the cost of that and make a little profit and give it to them. So I built a library which I was running underground in the school. Now I can say it, under the tables, okay, things like that. And I wasn't making crazy money, but I was making enough money so that I can buy stuff without having to go beg in front of my father, And then his posting happened, we were shifting to Darjeeling, and he was in Air Force. So in Air Force, you can get to take whatever stuff you want. It doesn't matter. There's no limit and all. But I guess he was just plain mean. And he said, I will not take your comics. And I'm like, I have collected them. And sometimes I think, if I had really put my foot down and taken them, what would be the value of those comics today? It's like, these were like Mandrake and Jughead and Archies, and there was some Bela Bahadur, there was in this thing, then Mad, which loved that. Things like that. So I guess that was my first venture. So when I was leaving and my dad said no, and after heartily crying and all that stuff, I said, okay, things have to be done. So one of my best friends, I said, okay, this all belongs to you and you please continue that. So I guess that was my first brush with entrepreneurship. And I always kind of had that in me. In fact, when we were doing our engineering, I still remember. And at that time, ragging used to be common. Like once we went and said something wrong to the seniors. And wrong means when they are abusing you, you have replied in the same way. So that's wrong, right? So the night they said, let's raid their hostel, and we're going to beat them up. And we somehow came to know about it, so we ran away. And there's a huge lake called Brahmsrovar, a huge lake in Kurukshetra. And so I still remember, we will go and sleep there. under the trees, under the stars, and that is where we would cook our plans for startups. So the next startup I wanted to do was a customized T-shirt startup because I was also an artist. I had won national prizes in sketching, in collage, and sculpting and stuff like that. So I said, I'm an artist, let's do that, customized T-shirts and stuff like that. But then my interest, I said, okay, before I get into that, I also had a lot of interest in advertising. And I want to get into advertising. I said, that's a very creative field. So for about, when I passed out, and my dad's, I did mechanical engineering. My dad's thing was that mechanical engineer means somebody who has the skill of hands, And I'm sure he would close his eyes and visualize my son is working in a factory, and in the night the machine shut down, and my son said, okay, let me give it a shot, roll up his sleeves, whole night he worked there and the machine was working. That's mechanical engineer. And I said, I want to go to advertising. And he was like, somebody please make him understand. So it was like poles apart our thinking and all that. So for 6 months, I was going around meeting advertising agencies. They take me. And they were like, you're an engineer. You've not done anything like that. And I still remember my father refused to give me money, but I needed some money. So I used to take some money from my elder sister. At that time, and I'm talking about early 90s, entrepreneurship in India meant you take a dealership of somebody. So you want to be an entrepreneur? Start selling HCL photocopiers or Xerox photocopiers, or that was the entrepreneurship. And I was like, no, that's trading. That's not entrepreneurship. And I said, no, I have to create something. But there was no ecosystem whatsoever. The startup word had not been coined. So I said, okay, let me go and work. So I was with HCL, then I was in Wipro. And in Wipro was distributor for an American company called Parametric. And they wanted to open their Indian office. So one day I get a call and say, hey, we would like you to set up the office for us in India. Would you be interested? And the fact that they were giving me 4 times the salary also helped me. So I said, okay, that's a good opportunity. Setting up something from scratch is always exciting, right? So I did that. I set up their office, and after that I got tired of Delhi, so I shifted to Pune. Then there was an Israeli company called Symmetron. I set up their office. Well, it was up to this stage that I could take a week off to Goa and nobody would bother me. So I was traveling, I was in Chennai, and I was meeting a friend of mine, and he was talking about doing a e-learning startup. And I was slightly getting bored. I'm making good money, but the challenge, So I said, what is e-learning? And he said, people will go online and learn. And at that time, John Chambers, and I have a peeve with John Chambers. I wish I meet him and I'll tell him that his one statement has sent so many companies haywire. But his statement was that e-learning will make email look like a rounding error. And I said, e-learning? I thought all people do online is have fun and maybe watch porn or do something else. Nobody goes to learn. He said, no, that's the word. See, John Chambers is saying. I'm like, okay, so let's do e-learning. So we both shifted to Bangalore and we started. We were competing against a very large training company, and finally we got the deal. And this was a pretty big deal. And sometimes in startups, if very early you get a big success, that's also not good. So we were looking for an office, 1,000 square feet. So in Domlur, which is in Bangalore, we found a building, 1,000. And we said, yeah, who's going to keep changing? It's such a pain. Let's take the whole thing. Business is running. What's the problem? We said, okay, so we furnished the whole place. And I come from a very typical middle class. And you can ask any middle class boy, when he closes his eyes and says, yeah, my first office, how will it be? I'm telling you, he visualizes a nice conference room, wooden paneling, nice table, air conditioned, things like that. It's only after you do a startup, once or twice you realize that that's bullshit. What you need is the product, But and I think this is what TV shows, like there's this lot of TV shows where they will say, oh, these guys are doing, they show fancy offices, and somewhere the fancier the office, the more successful you are. Somewhere, that is what the media kinds to show. To the corner, big office, oh, you must be very successful, Anyway, so we did that. So one fine day I was getting ready in the morning to go office, and my partner calls up and says, hey, there is about 50-60 police guys, there is a bulldozer, there is a crane and all that. Please come quickly. So I went there. So that building belonged to a corporator. Corporator is this local politician who earlier was in power, so nobody could do anything. But 1 month back he had lost elections and he was traveling in Malaysia, and this was a Saturday. So the courts would not be open, we cannot go and get a stay order and all that. And we had all the documents. That's the funny part, we had all the documents and everything. So we said, okay, what do we do? He said, just get out, you have to demolish it. He said, let us take out the things. He says, no. So then we called somebody, he called and said, okay, you get 20 minutes to take out whatever you can. How can I take out this sexy wooden paneling that I had done? Or this AC or this thing? So we just took out chairs. I still remember we had a box full of CDs, MSD and library and all, they used to come in CDs, this box full of CDs, laptops, chairs, everything. And in front of us, this 3-story building was demolished. So we had created this portal called Back to School. So, and there we were standing, we were supposed to launch it that day, and we were standing on the road with everything outside. So we said, okay, you go on leave, just the key, shift to our drawing room, and we launched it and all that. So that was the first thing that happened, and then 9/11 happened. So there's a saying, it's in Hindi, कि सर मुड़ाते ही ओले पड़े, which means the day I shaved my head, there was a hailstorm. So it was kind of almost like that. So I told, and all those investor stories that we had learned, you go with the idea and they really check, everybody disappeared. So I told my partner, look, forget investment, I know how to do business. I have done business, I have managed accounts, I used to sell large account management and all that. I've been a sales guy through. So I said, let's sell. So we are fortunate, we got Airtel, we got Aditya Birla, Godrej, SR, L&T, then all the IT companies, Satyam used to be there, BPO companies like Genpact and all that. So we had like good customers, and we started making good revenues and stuff like that. And 2005 we raised our first round of seed funding. And that's what I tell startups, nowadays there are startups, and if they do not raise money within the first 12 months of their starting, they're already dead. I'm like, how do you call it a startup whose only existence is dependent on money, So we did that, and then we were growing so we used that money to move to a sexier office. We had a very bootstrapped office, because after all this we learned our lessons. So in fact, 2007 we raised our second round from Network 18, which is a media group, and 2008 was again a downturn. So this time we have about 165 people. We sat down and we said, list. So first time it happened, we were very emotional. We said, come on, yaar, what is their fault? How can we fire them? It's this thing. We will get business. So the guys were sitting, doing nothing, and we were running around trying to get business. And one by one, they were getting jobs and going away. And what fundamental thing that we did not understand at that time, that when you are doing a startup, the most important entity is not the founders, not the employees, not the customers, not the suppliers, is the startup itself, And that's a living organism. You need to feed it, you need to take care of it, and you need to put that interest over everybody, not the interest of the founder or anything. And which also means that if the founder has to be kicked out, so be it, A lot of people don't understand. I also didn't understand that. But the next time the downturn happened, dispassionately we sat down and we called the guys, look, it's not your fault. That's the way it is. We're extremely sorry. Here's your 2 months thing. We have to let you go and control the whole thing. So this was then, we were growing pretty fast. We had about 150 odd customers. We took $4 million from them. And then we started getting into B2C. And B2C was not this thing. And this was more like a online MBA. But the thing is that in India, a private company cannot give degrees. So you need to tie up with a university. And in Indian universities are some of the most bureaucratic ones. So we would end up doing all the marketing, spending all the marketing, And the fees has to come in name of university because you can't collect it because there's no tax on if the university collects fees. And the university would take easily 6 to 9 months to give her share back. So we got trapped in the cash flow thing. See, a lot of starters don't understand that it's not your annual profit or balance sheet or how strong that is. What will make you successful or kill you is the monthly cash flow. So that's what I tell you. Forget what is the margins, how much money is coming in, how much is going out. Simple. The day it becomes positive, that is the day you should rejoice. Forget what margins you have, forget what this thing is. So that actually sent us in a bit of loop and all that. And I had a big disagreement with my partner. And it came to a stage where he said, either you run it or I'll run it. And then I asked myself my question. This was already 12 years in e-learning. And I said, no, I've spent 12 years of my life doing this. I don't think I want to do the same thing. I want to go and when I look back, I said the best time I had was before the investors came in. And that's what I tell startup guys. Was once the investor comes in, trust me, you are not in control. You cannot do anything. Before then we could try, experiment this thing. And what bugged me was that whenever I said, oh, let's do something totally different way, this way. No, this is working, do more of this. The first sign that your heart is not there is when you get up in the morning. What is the thought that comes to your mind? Is it like, awesome, I have to go meet him and all? Or is it like, oh shit, I have to send this quotation, that invoice, oh man, that payment is still pending, You see, your heart is not there. In 2012, I also had a panic attack. And I had no clue what panic attack is. So this is like, in the daytime, I had a fight with my co-founder. And then he was calling up, Anil. And I was like, if there is something not there, will your worrying make it work? So he was like, you're not even worried. I said, are we doing whatever we can to make the situation better? If the answer is yes, then what's the point of worrying? Worrying is not going to, it only is going to fuck you, right? And he said, no, that shows that you are not serious. I'm like, okay. So we had this big session, and I come home around 8 o'clock and I have another session with my wife. And I'm sitting watching TV, and suddenly I'm not able to breathe. I'm like trying to breathe and I'm not able to breathe. Now my dad died because of heart attack. My grandmother died because of heart attack. I said, shit, I'm dying because of heart attack. So I was in Domlur, Manipal hospital is there. I said, hello, take me right away. So it's like practically next door. In about 7 minutes we were there. We went into the ICU. This young pretty doctor, she can see what happened. I said, look, I'm having a heart attack. I think I'm dying. So they all check and all that, and they said, no, you're not having a heart attack and you're not dying. I said, then what's happening? He says, you're having a panic attack. I said, what the fuck is panic attack? He says, this is your body's way of saying, fuck you, I can't take it anymore. Have you been under stress? I said, yeah, that's the understatement of the year. And he says, exactly, because of stress, when it goes up too high, this is body's way of saying, either do something or I'm going. I came back home, and the whole night I was awake. Morning, first thing, called my wife and said, hey, you want me to leave now? I leave now. Or let me set up everything, and I will leave. This house is yours, 5-bedroom place. I will take care of it, whatever you need. But I do not want to fight anymore. And then I went to office, and I said, this is it. 31st March 2013 was my last day. 1st April I went and made this tattoo. This is a tattoo which is a reverse mirror thing. So it has in Sanskrit called Muktasmi. One of the artists in my company, he made this for me. So every morning when I stand in front of a mirror, I can read it because it's mirror image. And it means I am free. Muktasmi means I am free. And I said, look, I am now free to do what I want. So I had a friend of mine, he was building he had bought a resort and he was converting into a high-end yoga meditation kind of thing. So he needed a man Friday. He said, hey, come on, for food and stay. I said, done. So he gave me a studio apartment, there was food, beautiful place. And then I was going around with him, buying, chandeliers and curtains and that's when I learned that when you buy a bed sheet, there is a very count that changes the cost and all that, and cabana and this and that. Anyway, so 3-4 months I did that, and then I said, what do I? And that also gave me a time to reflect on what my past was, and I felt it's like kind of right in between my life, you know. I started working in '88. This is 2013, you know. So 25 years. I'm sure I have another 25 years. What do I want to do? And that's when I said, A, I will only work with people I enjoy working, and B, I will work with early stage. Now, if I did my own startup, there were investors who were saying, hey Anil, whenever you do that, we will invest. But I said, someday this startup will also come into that stable stage, and then you can't leave it. What is the best way that you can keep dealing with this early stage things, and the moment they go big, you can get out? And that's when I started the accelerator, Bluebolt Accelerator, because you meet so many different startups, and they are doing brilliant things, brilliant. See, in India, the challenge is that I would say 97-98% of founders are first-time entrepreneurs. So they are good in their tech, but they have no clue how to raise money. Forget money. No clue what is a go-to-market thing. If you are an enterprise, they'll say the only way to sell is to go and show it, demo to company. No, there are a million ways of selling it. You can license it, you can appoint distributors, you can do a lot of kind of things. Then pricing, how do you price it? Because they're targeting US, but they're thinking India. You know what I mean? So that kind of expertise and all that. So I came back to India in 2015, and there was this accelerator, Jarvis Accelerator. There was this Australian guy who was running it, and he wanted to go back. So they said, hey, would you like to run this? I said, okay, good experience. So I started running this accelerator, and then one fine day I get a call from a TV channel and say that we have a startup reality show, and would you be interested in being a judge on that? I'm like, I have never done TV before. The challenge was, this was the second season of that. It's called Hayward's 5,000 Horse Lake Udon. So we were supposed to go to 10 cities in 30 days. They had got 45,000 applications. We chose 50 startups each city, and I was the anchor judge, and we would take one local guy, one celebrity, and things like that. And the whole idea was that 5 minutes and we'll grill them, and if they're good, they go to next, or if they're bad, we just throw them out. So these two girls came and said, we are from Kanpur, we belong to a leather some company and all that. I said, okay, so what's your startup? They said, we will sell shoes online. I said, that sounds reasonable. How will you sell it? Subscription. I'm like, okay, so every 15 days we'll get a new shoe. I'm like, okay, what else? We will do shoe themed parties. I'm like, okay, this is getting more and more interesting. What else? Then we are going to release shoes based on horoscopes. So I said, look, you know what I think is that you both of you got up in the morning and I said, hey, you know what, we're getting bored today. What do we do? You know, hey, that show is going on. Now we had put that application. Let's go have some fun. And that's why you are here. No. We are not here for the money. We already have 4 crores investment with us. Then I took off because the money, there was a prize of $30,000 on that. I said, this $30,000 can change somebody's life, his or her family's life, their community, and what impact you can have. And you are coming here, flaunting your money, you are belittling this, you know. I took that ground, and they got very wild and all that. They went out, what is this? Is this roadies? How can you talk to us like this? And who is this guy? What's his name? So this guy came, he's asking for name. I said, yeah, here's my visiting card. Okay. And we will see it and we will do this thing and all that. So this happened and they specified them and went out and all that. Then I suddenly realized, oh shit, I hope I have not done anything. So there was this director, I looked at the director, I said, is it okay? And he was like, yes, that's what I want. Because for TRP, that's a masala, right? Now the audience is getting, you know. I said, did I do something? Just keep doing what you're doing. I said, boss, sometimes, you know, I swear also, do not worry, we'll beep it out. You just be yourself. And we had so much fun. We would They were like, some dumb guy would come. And my style is that I will never ridicule a person. I will ridicule the model. And I tell them, hey, if you want encouragement, go to your parents. Because you're born to them. It's their bloody duty to encourage you, or maybe teachers. I'm here to show you the reality. Because the market doesn't care. You are a first-time entrepreneur, you are a woman entrepreneur, or you struggled so much and then became an entrepreneur. Does the customer care? They don't. All they care is, boss, what are you offering? What value will it add to me, and what do I have to pay for it? Simple. That's my style. So we had an amazing time. Startups would, and we allowed them. So they would go to one city, we'll kick them out, they will come in the next city. And the director will come and say, sir, he's again coming. I said, no problem, bring him in. What is it this time? And logically we would explain and throw him out and all that. So there's this movie called Bahubali. I don't know if you've seen that. So there's this guy called Kattappa. So they named me the Kattappa of startup ecosystem, and now everybody calls me that. he goes and kills the startups. But anyway, so I think it's amazing. Sometimes I wish that I had passed college today. And I tell these kids, boss, you have no clue how lucky you have it. There are incubators in colleges, there are co-working, there are people mentors, there are so much resources available online and all that. At our time, there was nothing. And we had to learn it hard. I still remember we had to bloody take a big office in Delhi because I wanted to have one sales guy sitting there. That was such a waste of money because there was no co-working option available. There were some old fuddy-duddy business centers which were like, oh, I will charge 1 lakh rupees per seat or some shit like that. These informal things were not there. There were no pitching events. There was no this thing. So when I started at my accelerator, I said, look, I'm going to do it in a very different way. Accelerators, incubators, they offer space, they offer demo day, they offer community, they offer all that. I said, all that is freely available. Why would somebody give equity for that? The only thing that is, I said, I'll focus in on, get your product ready, find your target audience. Because, a lot of startups, they are done by domain guys or techies, and they look at everything from a tech perspective. So like yesterday I was talking to somebody and he had a solution. I said, who can use it? He said, actually, everybody can use it. I said, if everybody can use it, trust me, nobody will use it. You have to slice and dice and find that audience to whom when you go there, they should say, oh wow, where have you been till now? Give me a hug. That kind of burning problem. If you have a product or service, you have to find the customer for whom you are touching his core. And that is the key thing. And other key thing is, it's not that you go to them and say, hey, do you need it? They will say yes. If they start using it and for any reason it is withdrawn, what is the degree of inconvenience? I think that is a better matrix than people saying yes, because people will say yes, download the app, doesn't work, delete. But Uber, can you afford to? Dunzo, Swiggy, Zomato, they become habits. They're like everyday thing, that's the whole thing. So that's what I'm doing. This startup, Bluebolt Accelerator, the Blue stands for Blue Ocean Strategy. That's my favorite book, where I truly believe that if big companies have done that, and startups can also do that. Startups, instead of going and fighting directly with the big customers, they can create their own category, create their own niche, and become the kings of the niche. And see, large companies cannot do niche. So they need startups to do the niche and grow it so that they can come and acquire it and then add it to the mainstream. That's the way it works in Silicon Valley. That's the way the whole flow works, and that's the way it's starting to happening in India now. And another thing is happening thanks to Trump and this trade war between China. China is saying, hey, you know what? India may be a better place to invest. So India is going, and India is pretty open. Unlike China, where they put all these restrictions and stuff, India is pretty open. We don't care. Some in between, some of them said Flipkarts and all, we should support the Indian startup. Flipkart is based in Singapore. All your investors from outside. The majority stake is held by foreigners. How do you define an Indian company? You know what I mean? So I don't care. If I get a good deal, I'll go to Amazon. If I get a good deal, I'll go to Flipkart. I don't care where they're coming from. So India is a huge market. And there's another segment which is opening up, like TikTok, for example. TikTok has 250 million subscribers, two-thirds of what Facebook has, and they don't overlap. They have finally, there are two factors which is enabling this bottom of the pyramid. Have you heard of this book, Prahlad's Fortune at the Bottom of the Pyramid? He says the bottom of the pyramid is a big fortune if you can really address it. And I think TikTok is addressing that, And these are why? There are two factors. One is geo, dirt cheap data. You can see as much videos as you want. And smartphones, under $100, under $70, refurbished smartphones and all that. So these guys have never seen computers and all that, and the first thing they are having is this, and they are seeing this. And as history has shown, any new technology is first used for fun and entertainment and all that, and that's a huge segment that they have opened now, which was not available. And Chinese and all that seeing. So next 5 years, so you have Naspers from South Africa, you have Tiger, Sequoia, all the big guys from US, you have SoftBank in Japan, Tencent, then you have this Alibaba, and you have this other guys, and they're all focusing on India. So I think next 5 years are going to be amazing, rocking. So that was my journey. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it sounds easy when we talk about it, but it has been a hard journey. Has had an impact on personal as well as professional lives. It is a lonely journey. And as most of the startups out there are, or most of the founders out there are alone, they do need help. So if you have any query on or a comment on what I have said, or any specific challenge that you are facing with your startup, I would request you to put it down in the comments, and I will try and respond as soon as I can. And if you found it useful and you think that it could be useful for others also, I would request you to share this on your Facebook as well as LinkedIn timelines. And the reason Backstage with Millionaires has been put together is to give the first time entrepreneurs a glimpse in the life of other successful entrepreneurs. There's nothing like overnight success, even though it seems like that. Everybody goes through a journey. Everybody's journey is unique, but then if somebody has made a mistake, maybe you can learn from that. So I would strongly recommend that you subscribe to this channel if you are an entrepreneur or you work with entrepreneurs, and I'm sure it will not be a waste of your time. Thank you and have a nice day.